I think one of the best things um, and the most useful things you get from the philosophy that's found in things like diabolism or certain forms of Satanism, and largely, I think, derived from or shared with Crowley's teaching, um, is the sense of individual responsibility and self reliance, which obviously doesn't preclude interdependence and things like that, or the fact that we're social animals, but it's a very, very useful thing to inculcate in yourself. So you know if something's getting to you, if something's upsetting you, that's your problem, that's your responsibility. Um, if you face problems, it's your responsibility to overcome them. Yeah. If life presents things which are unpalatable, uh, that's how life is. So all the things which tend to obsess so many people nowadays about justice and injustice and the justice of the world and this and that and the other and this great, great expectation of rights. In terms of diabolism, it's very obvious that there are no rights. Yeah. Um, and uh, obviously, we've invented rights, and that's great in all sorts of ways. Uh, but it's very good to remember that we invented them, we made them up. Yeah. And so when we look at the world and we are perplexed by it or we are frustrated by it, we can look at it honestly and see, well, this is how nature is. Yeah, it's not nice, it's not fair, it might be beautiful at times, it might be enjoyable, it might be all sorts of things, but just fair or nice, it absolutely is not. Yeah. And so then when you see people railing against the world with enormous rage, um, this is something which a diabolist couldn't do, or at least couldn't do for long, because they'd have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, what are you doing? Because the majority of stuff that people rail against is nature. And then they will rail in a secondary sense against the rest of the world, the rest of the human world, not looking after them, not saving them, not doing this for them or that for them. Yeah. But if you take it back to individual responsibility as your baseline, not everything that exists, but as your baseline, and then you face nature and the world as it is, it helps you a great deal, because then you see that what you need is to become strong, what you need is to become mature, what you need is to be able to own your own fears, animosities, irritabilities, etc., and to actually simply go on as the person you are. Develop your strengths, develop your talents, and keep going, you know. So for me, these things are very helpful, you know. These things are really helpful. Like when you're fearful of things, when you're frustrated by things, you actually remember yourself. You remember where you are. You remember which world you're living in, yeah? And you remember that the world doesn't owe you anything. And that's a very good starting point. From that starting point, you can calm down and continue on your way. And you can do it most effectively. And in a kind of energized peace, in a sense. You can find peace in yourself because you have made peace with the way that the world is. And I think that is one of the great blessings of diabolism.